Back in the 90s, my husband and I really started to get restless with our life. God started talking to us about adoption, and there were lots of stops and starts, but eventually we did go over to adopt our first daughter, Natalie. We went back in August of 2002, and that's when we adopted Angelina. November of 2002, we went back to get our third daughter, Sveta Elizabeth. My heart was broken for the ones that couldn't be adopted. What's going to happen to these kids? Nobody's there to care. No mother or father to really think about them and pray for them and guide them. It just broke my heart. I just felt like I had to do something. One thing that came up in the early days was we had an opportunity to bring over the choir from our girls' orphanage. We pulled all these strings and we brought over 41 kids, and through the course of that, there was just a mad rush of adoptions. Out of 41 kids, 39 of them got adopted, and then that snowballed because as people went over and they met other children, they got adopted, and there were siblings and there were friends, and it just became this big snowball effect. I used to count up how many children found new homes. After we got over 120, I stopped counting. It just kind of snowballed. Clearly, God had moved. Through this time where I just kept praying, what can we do? What can we do? And God just showed me this image of a home, a family-style home that's just run by Christian house parents, where they would learn what it's like to love each other, to treat each other respectfully. I was passionate about it. I just couldn't think of anything else. It was just like totally focused in my head. And once we had the vision of the homes, I lived and breathed it. But you know what? Ideas, sometimes they take a long time to come to fruition. From the point where we had the vision to the point where we had our first home, it was 5 years. It took that long. It's quite an experience trying to buy a house in Ukraine. We found a house that we thought was going to be great. It was a good price, it was a good location, and so I wired the money over for it. I went over to Ukraine, all set to close on it, and we get to the house and the whole deal falls through. I had no sooner gotten back to the U.S. when the whole economy dropped. All the banks were closed in Ukraine. And because we had cash over there, we were able to buy 3 houses for what we would have paid for one. Our homes operate like a family. The kids, they learn basic chores, cooking, cleaning, budgeting their money, and they learn what it means to have the Lord in the center of their life. Like, what does it mean to be discipled? What does it mean to walk with the Lord? We have amazing staff. I've been so in awe of how God just provided exactly the right people. They are clear that this is what God's called them to do, and they're going to do it whether Heart for Orphans is helping them or not. And that's what makes the difference. The kids that we have, they know that they're loved.
Ukraine is now a nation at war.
2022 has been an incredibly difficult year. Of course, the war started, and we had to evacuate all of our people. We were unable to evacuate the young men that were over 18 because they had to stay in the country. They have to stay there and fight. And so that was a very, very difficult situation. But our people that have left physically, they're fine, but their heart is just broken. They've been through such trauma, they just want to go home. So we wait on the Lord for what's the next step. Meanwhile, we do what we've been doing all along, only we're doing it in different countries. Looking back over 20 years of Heart for Orphans, I'm just amazed at how God has directed us. Family is really God's idea. It's not our idea. We didn't come up with anything new. That's the way children ought to be brought up, is in functioning, loving, Christ-like families. That's the best scenario for them. I believe that God's going to open homes like this all over the world. Small, family-style homes, because that's what works.